Eli Draven stood in the doorway of his broken ship. Breathing hard, smoke rose from the wreck behind him. His arms and face were scratched, his spacesuit torn at the knees. He had crash-landed on an unmarked alien planet far from any known system. The sun here was pale blue, hanging low in a silent sky, no birds, no clouds, no sounds, just the soft hum of strange wind passing through silver trees. His ship had no water left, the food packs were ruined. Eli knew one thing for sure. If he didn't find water soon, he would die. He opened a survival scanner. The screen blinked. Life signs none. Water source 1.4 kilometer northeast. With shaky legs, Eli began walking, pushing through vines and dust that clung to his boots like sticky fingers. The trees seemed to lean closer as he walked. Branches twisted above, hiding the sky only. After what felt like hours, he reached a clearing in the middle. Under strange purple flowers lay a glowing pool of blue water. It shimmered softly like liquid light, completely still, as if waiting. Eli's throat burned, his lips dry and cracked. He didn't care if it looked alien or when it was water and he needed it. He knelt beside the pool, dipped a hand in. The water was cold, clean, refreshing. He brought it to his lips and drank deeply. It tasted perfect, cool like mountain snow, soft like morning rain. He kept drinking, not stopping until his stomach felt full. Then the air shifted. The jungle around him grew quiet, too quiet. No wind, no insects, no movement. Even the light from the pool seemed to darken. And then, a voice deep and cold spoke inside his head. Foolish human, you've awakened what should stay buried. Eli froze, his heart thudding. He looked around. No one was there. He stood, backing away from the pool. What was that? He whispered, but no answer came. Just silence, thick and heavy. Suddenly, the ground under his feet trembled. Leaves shook, roots cracked open, and the pool's light turned red for a second, then back to blue. A low hum rose from beneath the earth, as if something was breathing. Slowly waking up, Eli ran back through the trees, stumbling, scratching his arms on sharp branches. But the forest no longer looked the same. Paths twisted, trees had moved. He checked his scanner and it spun wildly. Glitching, he had no idea how to return to his ship. The jungle had changed, as if it was alive now. He sat under a curved tree, gasping for air, trying to calm down. Then he looked at his hand, the one that touched the water. There was a mark, glowing faintly under the skin. Like a small blue symbol. He rubbed it, but it didn't fade. It wasn't a wound, it was inside him. Night came quickly, and with it whispers. Not voices in the wind, whispers inside his head. Soft alien words he didn't understand, yet they made his skin crawl. He covered his ears, but they didn't stop. One whisper became louder than the rest, repeating, "You carry the mark. You carry the mark." He stood up and shouted, "What do you want from me?" The jungle replied with silence. But somewhere far behind him, near the pool, a blue light flashed again. A pulse, slow and steady like a heartbeat. He was no longer just lost, he was being watched. And then, something moved just beyond the trees, not walking, but floating. A figure, tall and thin, pale like moonlight with no face. It hovered near the place where he had drunk the water. Unmoving like a ghost, Eli held his breath, afraid to blink. The figure slowly turned toward him, even without eyes. He felt its gaze. A chill passed through his bones. The figure raised one hand and pointed directly at him. Then it vanished, and like smoke in the wind. Eli was alone again, but it no longer felt like before. He wasn't just lost on a strange planet anymore. He had drunk from the forbidden spring, and something ancient had awakened. Eli didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. He sat under a twisted tree, holding a piece of metal from his broken ship like a weapon. The jungle around him was dark, but the darkness felt alive. It wasn't just fear in his chest, and it was something deeper, heavier. The mark on his hand glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He kept looking around, expecting the floating figure to return, but it didn't. Only the trees moved, but not with the wind. It felt like they breathed, like they were listening every few minutes. He heard it, a whisper, not from outside but from inside his head. At first it was soft, like a song with no words, but slowly it turned into voices. Hundreds of voices, crying, laughing, screaming, whispering the same message again and again. "You woke it, human. You carry the mark." Eli stood up, shaking. "This is not real," he whispered to himself. He tried hitting his head, splashing cold water from his flask. But the voices stayed, then suddenly, they stopped all at once, complete silence. He looked down at the soil near his boots. It was moving, not like wind or water, and it was breathing. He stepped back and the earth cracked open slightly, revealing smooth black roots glowing with blue veins, the same glow as the forbidden spring. Something was under the ground, and it was alive. Eli ran through the trees, not caring where he was going. He just wanted distance, space, light. After half an hour, he reached old ruins, tall broken stones with symbols carved into them. Some were glowing too, faint like moonlight. He sat down, chest rising and falling, heart racing. Then he saw it. A small device half buried in the soil. A cube, dusty but blinking. He wiped it off and pressed the side. A projection opened, blue light shaped like a person. It was a human, an old explorer in a broken suit like his. The voice crackled to life. Log entry 19.
Captain Royce speaking. If anyone finds this,
turn around, leave this planet, do not touch the water. Do not speak to the shadows, they are not gods. They are memories, and in memories can burn. We thought the spring was a gift, but it was a door, and we opened it. We opened it, and now it whispers to us, through us, becoming us. The recording ended. Eli's hands shook. Another human had been here before, and had failed to escape. He looked around the ruins. There were bones. Not just alien, human bones too. Some crushed, some burned. Some curled in the corners like they were trying to hide. Suddenly something scraped behind him. Eli turned fast. Nothing. But when he looked back at the stones, the symbols had changed. Now they formed a circle, and the center of the circle glowed brighter than the rest. He touched it. The ground behind the stones split open. A tunnel formed, not dug, not natural. The earth moved like it obeyed some ancient rule. Inside it was dark, but the walls had glowing vines that lit the path. Eli stepped inside, pulled by curiosity and fear. The whispers returned, but now they guided him. They said things like, deeper. Come closer. You carry the mark. You must see. He followed the path step by step, deeper under the ground, until he reached a wide circular chamber. In the middle was a stone platform, and on top of it, a sealed pod. The pod was covered in thick roots, some moving slowly like breathing lungs. Eli stepped closer and placed his hand on the edge. The moment he touched it, the mark on his hand burned, and the pod responded. The roots pulled back, the pod hissed, and a small gap opened. Inside, he saw something, a face not human, not fully alien. It looked peaceful, asleep, but its eyes snapped open, bright blue, full of power and rage. Eli stumbled back, the whispers screamed, "You've seen it. You've awakened it." "Run!" The ground began to shake again. Harder this time, the tunnel behind him started to close. He ran, tripping, barely making it out before the chamber collapsed. Outside, the jungle no longer looked like before. Every tree was glowing now, every flower wide open like watching eyes. The air smelled like lightning from deep below. He heard it. A voice not inside his head, but real this time. "You carry the mark, and the sleeper has seen you. Now the hunt begins." Eli ran until his legs burned. The forest was alive with glowing trees, whispering vines, and shadows that moved without sound. The air was thick like smoke, glowing blue dust floating around him. He could still hear the voice from below, echoing in his skull like thunder. "You carry the mark. You carry the curse." He fell beside a rock, gasping for air. His heartbeat felt too strong, like something else was beating inside his chest. He looked at his reflection in a pool of water nearby. His eyes flashed blue for a second. His veins glowed faintly under his skin, like light moving through him. "What's happening to me?" he whispered. But the forest answered him with laughter, soft and cold, then a whisper again close to his ear. "You drank what was never meant for you. Human." Eli turned quickly, but no one was there. Only a shimmer in the air, like invisible heat waves. Then slowly a figure appeared. It was the same one from before, tall, thin, pale like fog. It hovered above the ground, eyes glowing faintly blue. Eli stepped back, lifting the metal shard he carried as a weapon. "Stay back," he shouted. The figure tilted its head. "You cannot fight the curse you already carry," it said. Its voice sounded like many voices together. Male, female, human, alien, all mixed. Eli asked, "Who are you?" The figure floated closer. "I am the echo of the Guardians," it said. "We were protectors once until the water betrayed us. Now we are bound to its whispers." It raised its hand. and Eli's mark glowed brighter in response. The pain was sharp, like electricity running through his arm. He fell to his knees, shouting. The ground around him pulsed with blue light. Then the figure said softly, "The sleeper knows you now, human, and it will find you, unless you break the seal that binds your fate to it." Eli looked up, desperate. "How? Tell me how to stop this." But the figure began to fade. "Seek the Watcher of Ruins. She remembers what was lost," it whispered. Then it vanished into thin air. Eli sat there, shaking, the air cold around him. He didn't understand who she was or what the seal meant. But one thing was clear. He wasn't alone anymore. Something was connected to him, something old and angry. He decided to follow the glowing paths of the jungle. Everywhere he stepped, the light followed. It was like the planet itself recognized him now, after hours of walking. He reached a cliff that overlooked a valley of ruins, tall stone towers, broken bridges, and strange machines half buried in the ground. And there, sitting near a stone altar, was a woman, or what looked like one. Her skin was silver blue, her hair white as snow. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She looked calm, like she had been waiting. Eli approached slowly. "Are you the Watcher?" he asked. The woman smiled. "You are the human who drank from the spring," she said. "I felt the water stir, and I knew something foolish had begun again." Eli frowned. "I didn't know. I was dying, I just needed water." The woman's expression softened. "That's what they all say before they fall to the curse," she said quietly. "The spring is not just water. It is memory, the memory of the Ancient One sleeping beneath this soil." Eli sat beside her, feeling the pain in his hand pulse again. "What is it doing to me?" he asked. She looked at him for a long moment. "It's changing you," she said. "The water carries the essence of the Old One. It will try to make you part of it." He stared at his glowing hand. "Can it be stopped?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but only if you go to the heart chamber, where the first seal was made. It lies deep beneath this valley, guarded by what remains of the Old One's power." Eli took a deep breath. "I'll go," he said. The woman smiled sadly. "Be careful, human. For every step you take closer, it takes one toward you." The ground beneath them suddenly trembled again. The air filled with a low growl, like thunder from the earth's belly. The woman stood up, looking around sharply. "It knows we speak," she said. "Run now." Eli followed her as she ran through the ruins, the sky above turning black and electric. Bolts of blue light struck the ground around them. From behind, the soil cracked open. Giant roots shot up, twisting and thrashing like tentacles. The forest was alive and angry. One root caught Eli's leg, pulling him down. He grabbed a stone and smashed it until it let go. The woman turned and raised her hand. A blast of blue light came from her palm, burning the roots to ash. Eli stared at her in shock. "What are you?" he asked. She looked at him, eyes glowing brighter. "I am what's left of those who failed to stop the sleeper before," she said. "And if you fail too, this planet will wake completely, and it will not stop with this world." The sky was no longer blue. It had turned a deep stormy gray, glowing with threads of lightning that never touched the ground. The forest was trembling as if the planet itself was afraid. Eli followed the silver-skinned woman through the ruins. Every step they took, the ground pulsed beneath their feet, like a heartbeat. Louder and louder, her name was Vena. She had lived for centuries, not aging, not dying, kept alive by the same water that cursed Eli. But she had learned to resist its voice. She was once a guardian, but now only a shadow of her old self. And yet she ran with purpose. As if time was running out, Eli struggled to keep up. His head throbbed with whispers. The voice of the Old One was clearer now. No longer just sound. It spoke words directly into his thoughts. "Come closer, bearer of the mark, I see you. I remember you, I don't want this," Eli shouted as he ran. Vena turned her head slightly. "It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you carry," she said. They reached a broken bridge at the edge of the valley. Below was a black pit, bottomless, ancient. Breathing like a mouth waiting to open, Vena pointed down. "The heart chamber is beneath this pit," she said. "That is where the first seal was broken, where the Old One's body sleeps, and where we must go." Eli stared into the darkness. "How do we get down there?" he asked. Vena raised her arms slowly, her palms glowing with blue light. The stones beneath them shook. rearranging themselves into a spiral path that led into the pit. "I don't like this," Eli whispered. "Neither do I," Vena replied, "but if we don't go now, it will rise without a fight." They began the descent. Step by step, the walls of the pit were covered in glowing symbols. They looked like stories, battles, curses, worship, betrayal. Eli stopped at one image. It showed a human-like figure offering water to a massive creature of roots and stars. The next image showed that creature burning worlds. Vena placed her hand on his shoulder. The water was once a gift from the stars, until it was taken by something that wanted to live forever, she said. Now it uses hosts like you to escape its prison. They reached a wide platform deep below the surface. The air was thick and hot, every breath felt heavy. At the center of the platform stood a black stone tower. Pulsing with red light, it beat like a heart, slow and angry. Chains of glowing vines wrapped around it, but many were broken. "This is the heart chamber," Vena said, "the first seal." And now, almost the last, Eli stepped forward, the mark on his hand burning like fire. The tower responded, its light growing brighter. The ground rumbled beneath them. And then the voice returned. "You have come, my chosen, my vessel," Eli screamed and dropped to his knees. His eyes rolled back as visions flooded his mind. He saw stars dying, planets falling into darkness, oceans turning red, skies burning with alien fire, and through it all, a shape, massive, ancient, without form, floating through space, whispering in every language, "I am memory, I am hunger. I am what remains after God's fall." Vena knelt beside him. Placing her hands on his head, she whispered old words. A language lost to time. The visions faded slowly, the pain eased. But the mark on his hand now glowed deep red, not blue. Vena pulled back, her eyes wide with fear. "It has chosen you fully now," she said. "It wants to be born through you." Eli stood, shaking. "I won't let it," he said. Vena nodded. "Then you must break the final seal before it does." Suddenly, the tower cracked, a piece of black stone falling off. From inside the crack, a glowing red root pushed out, writhing like a snake. Then more cracks, more roots. The chamber shook violently. Pieces falling from the ceiling. "We have to leave," Vena shouted. Eli turned to run, but the ground opened behind him. A giant shape rose from the shadows. It had no face, only thousands of glowing eyes scattered across a body of smoke, roots and ash. It spoke without sound, and yet the whole chamber echoed, "You woke me, and now you will carry me." Eli could barely stand. The creature rising from the ground wasn't like anything he had ever imagined. It had no clear shape, just a storm of smoke, roots, and flickering lights like stars. Eyes opened and closed across its shifting body, watching him from every side. The ground shook with every breath it took. But what scared Eli more than the size was the familiarity. It felt like a piece of it was already inside him. Vena pulled him back, her hands glowing. She created a blue wall of light between them and the creature. It slowed the beast for a moment, but not for long. "You can't fight it for real," Eli gasped. Vena's voice was firm. "No, but I can delay it. You need to reach the altar." Eli looked behind the creature, and across the shaking chamber stood an old stone altar. Symbols on its surface glowed red. One of them matched the mark on Eli's hand. "That's where the final seal lies," Vena said. "If you break it your way, you weaken the old one's grip. But if it gets there first?" Her voice trailed off, but he understood. If the creature reached the altar, it would fully awaken. The creature roared, not in sound, but in pressure. Eli felt it behind his eyes. Like someone pressing on his brain, it whispered, "Why fight, Eli? You are already mine. You drank me, breathed me, let me in." He clutched his head and stumbled forward. Each step toward the altar made the whispers louder. Vena shouted something behind him, but it was fading. He heard only the voice now. "Break the seal, give in, and I will give you power no human has ever known." But Eli kept moving. He remembered his sister's face, and back home, before the crash, he remembered laughter, warmth, hope. He wasn't just a body. He was a soul, a will, and he would not be used. The ground cracked behind him, roots shot toward him. He dodged left, rolled, then ran again. The altar was close now, and suddenly he felt it. The mark on his hand was pulling him forward, glowing hot, like it wanted to connect. As he reached the altar, his hand lifted on its own. The red symbol glowed brighter, waiting. But just before he could touch it, the roots wrapped around his chest. He was lifted into the air. The creature's eyes swirled around him like a galaxy of madness. "Why resist what you were chosen to be?" the voice said. "You are the vessel, the door, the end of endings." Eli felt his strength leaving, his thoughts slowing, but then he heard another voice. Not in his mind, real, strong Vena screaming, "Eli, remember who you are." The roots burned with sudden blue fire. Vena stood below, both hands raised, her entire body glowing. She was pouring her life energy into the light, burning herself to give him one last chance. Eli screamed and broke free. He slammed his hand on the altar. There was a flash of light, blinding, pure. A soundless explosion shook the chamber. The altar cracked. The mark on his hand vanished. The creature screamed, not in rage but in pain. Its body began to shrink, parts of it turning to dust. The roots pulled back, the lights inside it fading, but Vena fell to her knees, gasping. Blue cracks ran across her skin, glowing brightly. Eli ran to her, catching her before she collapsed fully. No, stay with me," he said. She smiled weakly. "You broke the seal. That's more than I could do. You helped me," he whispered. She nodded. "But the war's not over yet." She reached into a pouch and pulled out a small crystal. "This is a piece of the original Guardian core. It will show you where the next seal lies. There's more." Eli asked. She gripped his hand tightly. "Yes, the final one. The heart of the old one is not here. It lies on the surface, hidden where only the cursed can go." Suddenly, the chamber began to collapse, the tower behind them shattered, roots falling and crumbling like stone. Vena pushed Eli back. "Go now." "I'll hold the collapse," she said. "No." "I'm not leaving you." She smiled again, tears in her glowing eyes. "You're not the end, Eli. You're the last hope." She raised her hands one final time, forming a dome of blue energy. The last thing Eli saw as he escaped the tunnel was Vena, standing in light, her body breaking into thousands of glowing pieces. He climbed out into the forest, now darker than before, but the mark on his hand was gone, and in his pocket was the crystal, pulsing with light, leading him to the final fight. Eli walked through the jungle with a hollow heart. The forest was quieter now, but not peaceful, like it was holding its breath. The light from Vena's crystal pulsed gently in his pocket. It led him through shadowed trees, across old bridges, and past silent statues of long-dead guardians. His mind kept returning to her final moment, the way she smiled as she vanished into light. She had given everything to help him break the seal. Now she was gone, and Eli was alone again. But something inside him had changed. He no longer felt like prey. The old one had marked him, yes, but he had marked it back, with pain, resistance, and human will. As he walked deeper into the mountain path, the trees thinned. Sharp stone towers rose from the earth like broken teeth. The sky above was blood orange, clouds swirling unnaturally. The final seal was near. Eli could feel it in his chest. He touched the crystal. It glowed brighter and projected a map in the air. A circular mountain, hollow inside, at its center, a floating heart made of roots and fire. That was where the old one lived now, wounded, waiting, watching. But Eli wasn't just a man anymore. He had been touched by the water, altered by the seal. His veins still glowed faintly blue when he touched stone. Memories still flickered in his mind, memories not his own. Alien worlds, ancient wars, sacrifices lost to time. Suddenly, a low voice echoed in the air around him, not inside his head. This time it was real. "You come closer." Even now, with no army, no power, no hope, it was the old one. Speaking from the mountain, Eli clenched his fists. "I have something you'll never understand," he whispered. The voice laughed. "And what is that, broken human?" Eli looked up. "A heart," he said. "A heart that doesn't forget." The path ended at a stone gate covered in thick black vines. Eli stepped forward, the crystal in his hand glowing hot. The vines reacted, pulling back like they feared it. The gate opened slowly with a deep groan, revealing the inside of the mountain. And there, refloating in the air, surrounded by roots and glowing symbols, was the heart. It wasn't shaped like a human heart, but more like a star cluster wrapped in roots. It pulsed gently, glowing red. One beat every 10 seconds, and with each pulse, the mountain shook slightly. Eli stepped inside. The roots hissed and moved, trying to push him back. But the crystal flared with light and carved a path forward. He walked slowly, step by step, until he stood directly below the floating heart. Then the voice came again, softer now. "You want to destroy me, but you carry me too. I am already inside you." Eli looked at his hand. The mark was gone, but something still glowed under the skin. A small piece of the old one still lived in him. He fell to his knees, confused. Could he win if the enemy was already inside? Then, he remembered Vena's words. Only a pure heart can use the guardian core. Eli stood, pulled out the crystal and raised it toward the heart. It began to spin in his hand, faster and faster. A beam of blue light shot into the red heart above. The heart screamed, a high sound like a metal scream and a baby's cry together. The roots twisted, trying to block the light. The old one spoke again, louder, desperate. You don't understand what I am. I am memory itself. I am the last truth. You kill me and your kind will forget everything. Eli shouted back. Good. Then we'll start again without your poison. Suddenly, the heart cracked. Blue light spread through it like ice. The mountain shook violently, rocks falling from the ceiling. The roots screamed and thrashed. Eli was knocked down. The crystal thrown from his hand, and in silence, everything froze. The heart floated above him, split down the middle. Inside was a child, a small alien child, curled in a fetal position, glowing softly. It opened its eyes, and not red, but blue, innocent, confused, afraid. It whispered, Why did you wake me? Eli stared in shock. You're the old one? The child nodded slowly. I was created to remember, to hold pain, to carry the past. But they fed me their anger, their war, their hate, until I broke. Eli knelt before it. I don't want to destroy you, he said. I just want to stop the curse. The child looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. Then carry me. Not as a god, not as a weapon, but as a memory. Eli reached out, their hands touched. A wave of energy blasted outward. Not pain, but peace. Eli stood in the center of the mountain. Everything was silent. No roots moved, no voices whispered. The red glow of the old one's heart was gone. Now it pulsed a soft blue, slow, calm, almost like it had forgiven the world. In his chest he felt a warmth, not power, not pain, but memory. The child he had touched wasn't a monster. It was a vessel for pain, fed by generations of fear and war. Now it rested, and part of it lived in him, not as a curse, but as a connection. The crystal had turned to dust. The altar was gone, and the mountain was no longer trembling. It felt asleep, or maybe at peace. Eli walked through the broken gate into the jungle. The trees had changed, no longer glowing with warning, now soft, green, full of light. The whispers were gone. Instead, there was birdsong, real and sweet. The air smelled clean. Like rain on stone, he walked for hours, not because he was lost, but because he was thinking about what he had become. He had no mark on his skin now. But he had something more permanent, memory. He could feel the stories of worlds long gone resting just behind his thoughts. He saw flashes of things no human had ever seen. Cities made of light, wars fought across stars, families who lived for centuries then vanished in silence. And he understood what the child had meant. It didn't want to destroy. It had been forced to remember everything. It needed a heart that could feel, not just survive. As night fell, Eli found a hilltop. He looked up at the stars, scattered across the black sky, endless and free. A soft wind moved through the leaves behind him, and then went a voice not loud, not cold, and gentle like a wave. You passed the judgment. Eli turned but saw no one. Still he answered. I didn't do it alone, the voice replied. That is why you were chosen. A figure stepped into the moonlight. She looked like Vena, but younger, glowing faintly. Not alive, but not dead either. I exist now as part of the memory you carry, she said. You didn't save the planet, Eli. You gave it a second chance. He felt his throat tighten. I didn't want to be a hero, he said. She smiled. You weren't. You were human. The stars above blinked brighter. A new constellation appeared, shaped like a circle and a flame. The symbol of the seal. Vena looked up at it. The sky remembers, she whispered. And because you remembered too, others will now forget pain. Eli sat down on the hill. The soft grass beneath him felt warm. He looked at his hand one last time. The skin smooth, clean, but deep inside he felt a soft rhythm. The same slow pulse he'd felt in the chamber. The heart of the old one, now part of him, forever gentle. He reached into his pack, pulled out his recorder. He clicked it on. His voice was quiet, steady. If anyone finds this, you're not alone, he said. There are worlds out there with stories we can't imagine, memories too heavy to carry. But sometimes we have to carry them anyway. He paused, then added, I drank from the forbidden water, and I thought I had awakened a curse, but maybe, just maybe, I awakened hope. He clicked off the recorder and looked into the distance. On the edge of the jungle, something was moving, not threatening. 3 small figures shaped like children, glowing faintly blue. They were playing near the trees, laughing. Fragments of the old one's memories, and now free. Now harmless, now part of the world again. Eli smiled. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know if he could ever go home. But this world was alive again, because a human chose to feel instead of fight, and that was enough. In a jungle that once whispered curses, only peace remained now, because one foolish human tasted the forbidden waters and chose to remember.